You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
And don't adjust your TVs. It's not Emmerdale. It's not Coronation Street. It's me and Graham. We're here on the Scottish Football Zone. Graham, it's great to have you on to talk about this Scottish football scores at the weekend.
Pleasure to be on as always, my man.
I just wanted to start, Graham. Obviously, a big week for Scotland as well, but it was a big game for you guys yesterday at Time Capsule. Obviously, you went along to the match with your boy. Talk to us about that match, Graham.
Yeah, it wasn't our best performance of the season. I thought we were a bit flat. I thought it was a very bold lineup, playing Shankland, Braga, Kizridis and Kabori, but it just didn't work. There was no real fluidity, no real balance to the team. I thought we started okay. We're on the front foot, had a couple of kind of half chances, nothing major. Then we get the goal, great strike from Kizridis, but it does hit off the post and off the goalkeeper. And at that point, you're thinking, right, we'll go and win this game quite comfortably. That didn't really happen. I thought United came back into the game after about half an hour. The goal they got was deserved. It's poor defender from us from a corner kick. Good header from Lucas Stevenson. We've got to do better. We changed that at half time. Made a couple of changes. Went to 4-4-2. Looked a little bit better, but didn't really create a lot. It's one of the few games this season that Hearts have lacked that bit of creativity. We only had 2 shots on target, which is very unlike us. United, of course, had a few goals disallowed. They were all correct. But I just didn't think we had any real control of the game, any real fluency. I thought Benny was a massive miss. Benny's now out for 6 to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury. And I thought it showed. I thought Cameron Devlin was immense yesterday. Yet again, his level's gone up this season. Magnuson alongside him didn't do enough defensively for me. It was just a poor performance, but we still are unbeaten. 12 games into the season, 7 points clear, still unbeaten going into the break. I'm all right with that. I'm quite comfortable so far. A lot of folk aren't, and I heard a lot of disgruntlement yesterday, which I just don't get. We're still unbeaten. I'm still happy with it.
Yeah, Graham, I mean, I feel like it was pointed out by your manager yesterday. He said if you offered them 30 points after 10 matches, people would have took that, Graham.
Mate, I just snapped a hand off for it. 30 points out of 36 after 12 games. Only 3 draws, no defeats. I think, I don't want to rant about it, but I think our crowd have got a bit self-entitled. They're going into games now thinking we'll turn up and win. There was booing at the end of the game yesterday. A lot of folk will say it was about the referee. It wasn't. They booed the team off the park, which I just don't get. We are unbeaten after 12 games. We've played, in all competition, we've played 17 games. We've only lost 1 on penalties to St Mirren. I just think it's a self-entitlement that we think we should turn up and win every game. I thought the crowd was very quiet yesterday. It's like folk are turning up now thinking, right, Hearts, entertain us. Doesn't work like that. Lawrence Shanklin spoke about this last week, about the crowd and it's been too quiet, and he was right. I thought it was really, really poor yesterday, and a lot of fans were raging after the game yesterday, which I don't get. Like last season, Hearts were terrible. We finished bottom 6. We were absolutely shocking. This season is completely turned, and fans still ain't happy. I just think there's a lot of self-entitlement there just now. You need to enjoy this while it lasts, which I certainly am.
Yeah, I can see Paul has put his point in the chat there. Paul, don't you worry, we'll get on to Aberdeen in a minute. Good, Graham, but I just wanted to talk to you about obviously, I think the last 2 matches in terms of the St Mirren game and the Dundee United game. I mean, obviously you beat Dundee last weekend, Graham, but are you starting to get a little bit, I don't know, a little bit worried in case this kind of seeps into the club, or are you taking it game by game, Graham?
I'm not worried at all, mate. I'm genuinely not. I'm very relaxed. I'm just enjoying the ride. I know this might not last. Like, start of the season, my expectation was, after finishing 7th last season, get back to 3rd place. My expectation level was nowhere near what it is right now. To be sitting top, 7 points clear, 12 games unbeaten, I'm just enjoying this. It might not last. I've said previously, and I'll keep saying it, I don't think Hearts win the league. I think Celtic probably will end up winning the league. But I'm just enjoying it for what it is. Going to Paisley is not easy. I know that Hibs found it quite easy at the weekend, but it's a difficult place to go. And United are a really good side as well. They've got a lot of threat up front. So I think drawing against St Mirren and drawing against United is not a disaster for me. We know we're going to get beat at some point. It's how we react to our defeat. And we've not had to suffer a lot of that this season. So I am very, very relaxed and comfortable with how we're doing so far this season, because it's beyond mine and a lot of other Hearts fans' expectations.
What about next match? Obviously, you go up to Aberdeen. I don't think it's been a great place for you over the past decade, Graham, but you're pretty happy thinking you could get the 3 points there.
Yeah, I mean, we've not won there since 2016. We should have won there last season. George Grant missed a penalty at the last minute.
Yeah,
it was saved, but it was a poor penalty for me. If he scores that, we win the game. We have been unlucky a few times there, but it's going to be hard. You know, Aberdeen have been very inconsistent this season. You don't know what team's going to turn up. But I think this is a good chance for us to go up there and get 3 points. And I think, for me, we need to go back to basics. Go back to what's been working for us recently is the 4-4-2. Kisridas out wide, Shanklin and Braga up top. I'd probably put Devlin and McEntee in midfield because Benny's out, obviously. I think the only issue that I think we've got is the right-back area. McEntee's played there recently. He's been decent. I thought he was quite poor first half yesterday. We've got a right-back in Bocgrevik that's been fit for the last 2 weeks and hasn't played. So I do think we need to get the right-back area sorted. But I think just go back to basics. 4-4-2 and just go back to what's been working recently.
Yeah, Graham, I was just going to ask you in terms of the squad so far this season. I mean, you must be so happy with the squad this season. They've done so great so far.
Yeah, I think not just the new players, but the other players that were there last season have stepped up. Cammy Devlin, for me, has been outstanding this season. His level's gone up. Benny, until he got injured, was great. I think Craig Halkett, again, I keep talking about Halkett. When he's fit, he's our best centre-back. I thought he was great yesterday, but he's suspended for Aberdeen. Stuart Finley's come in and been fantastic. You know, obviously, you're looking at Braga and Kisridas. What a season they've had. Kisridas got 6 goals. Braga's got 9. You've got Lawrence Shanklin that's back in the goals again. You know, last season, Lawrence Shanklin only got 9 all season. He's got 10 already this season. He's been really good. So the signings have been fantastic. There's a few we've not seen yet. You know, Ajayi's been injured, our record signing. He's just back. You've got Kurjota's not really featured much yet. I think the goalkeeper, Swallow, he's been pretty steady. Going quite happy with him. So I think
he made a very good save yesterday as well, Graham.
Yeah, he's a really good goalkeeper. I wasn't sure how good he was because the first few games they played, he wasn't really tested. I think Paisley was his best game. He made a couple of great saves in Paisley. And yesterday, as much as I think United were decent, it's not like he had a lot of saves to make, but he looks very comfortable. You can see his experience. So yeah, I think the signing has been fantastic. But for me, the players that were there last season have raised their game this season, which I think they had to do.
Yeah, I mean, I was asking you just before we came on air, and do you think like Craig will step in and be Scotland's number one over the next 2 matches, or?
I think even though he's not played, I think he will, because as much as Scott Bain's been playing, are you going to really risk him in these crucial games when he's not really played at all for Scotland? I think it'll be Craig Gordon. I don't really see Liam Kelly going in. I might be wrong, but I just have a feeling that Steve Clarke probably will go for experience and play Craig Gordon, which is mental given the fact he's not played for Hearts this season. But that's just the way I'm looking at it. I think he'll go for more experience.
Yeah, well, Graham, you look at people like Grant Hanley, who never played for Norwich or never played for Hibs, and he still plays.
Yeah, I mean, we know that we talk about it all the time. Steve Clarke's got his favourites that he picks pretty much every international game, like Grant Hanley. You know, I think you've got other players that aren't quite performing to the level they should be. Like John Souttar seems to play well for Scotland, but not for Rangers, which is weird. I know he's called up Connor Barron and Andy Irvine. I said to you before we came on, Andy Irvine's career is mental because I never thought he was that great a player at Hearts. His career is just really strange. Connor Barron's not going to play. Now, I do think Billy Gilmore being injured for the first game is disappointing because I really like Billy Gilmore. It'll probably be Kenny McLean and another in that midfield, but I just think the goalkeeping situation is difficult. And obviously as well, you look at the forward options we've got. Now, Lawrence Shanklin's been really good this season. He's got 10 goals. But I still think he's going to start either Lyndon Dykes or Che Adams. He won't start Shanklin.
I think he'll start Che Adams, but I think he should personally play Dykes or Shanklin game, because Dykes at least scored against Greece in that last match. And obviously Shanklin has scored a lot of goals quite a lot of the time. So if it was me, I would pick Dykes or Shanklin, but I think Steve Clark will go with Che Adams because he likes him.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, I know that Shanklin does a lot of running. Not Shanklin. Adams does a lot of running off the ball, but I never really think he's a goal threat. The only goals he's scoring are against teams that are very, very poor. I mean, you just look at some of the teams he scored against. That hat-trick he got ages ago against our absolutely useless team. So I would like to see Shanklin start, obviously, but I know he's not gonna. If Dyke starts, fine, but I do think it probably will be Che Adams.
I mean, I think Paul makes a good point here. Surely Steve Clark should be calling up people like Josh Mulligan at Hibs instead of Conor Barron and Andy Irvine, to be honest with you, Graham, because I think Josh Mulligan's been great.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, Conor Barron's been all right at Rangers this season. But again, is he Scotland level? I'm not sure. I just said it there. I think Andy Irvine's career has been really strange. He's not going to play for Scotland, let's be honest. There are probably better players that could have got called up, but we know Steve Clark is loyal to certain players. And obviously he does it because he got us to 2 Euros. This is a chance to qualify for our first World Cup since 1998. I always think you've got to pick players that are on form, but he doesn't tend to do that, though. He goes to players that he trusts.
Yeah, Graham. I mean, I just wanted to finally ask you about your club there, because I wasn't at the match. Is there anything else that you wanted to pick up on from the game?
Not really. I think the job that Derek McInnes has done has been fantastic so far. You know, he's come in. There was a lot of fanfare about him, obviously, the way he left Kilmarnock and stuff, and how would he get on at Hearts. I think he's done fantastic. And every interview that he's done, a lot of managers say things just for clout. Everything that Derek McInnes has said after a game has been spot on. I've pretty much agreed with everything he said after every game. And I think he was right yesterday. We didn't deserve to win the game. We didn't do enough. I just think Derek McInnes has done such a fantastic job. And to be sitting top of the league is just a fantastic achievement. Will it continue? Maybe not. But as I said, the longer it goes, the more you start thinking, could something be in this? And again, I think January is massive, because we're going to have Chesnikov coming in, the guy from Kazakhstan. We may strengthen further. I think if we can get to January window, 1st of January, if we can get there still top, or even 1 or 2 points behind Celtic, I do think we'll strengthen our game. I do think we might chuck more money at it.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to ask you, Graham, in terms of finally then, I mean, I think if you, well, like I said to you earlier, I mean, I think after 12 matches, 30 points, I think you've got to be very, very happy.
I am, mate. There's a lot of Hearts fans not because of yesterday, but I am delighted with this. Like, I was sitting here last season, pulling my hair out after every game, going, this is terrible. We're bottom of the league. We can't win a game. Lawrence Shanklin's not scoring. I mean, the turnaround in a year is incredible. We've scored 29 goals this season. In all competitions, we've scored 46 goals. I mean, that is just unbelievable. The attacking threat we've got is fantastic. Yesterday wasn't our day, but we've still got so much attacking players and so much attacking threat that I do think we'll get better. And I think this break, actually, it's not a bad thing. It gives players a bit of a chance to rest, to get back to against Aberdeen, which is going to be a difficult game. This is not a bad thing for us, I don't think, to have a break at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on, Graham. I mean, in terms of the actual other match that was on yesterday, Aberdeen against Motherwell, what do you make of that game?
Aberdeen are just such a weird team this season. They're so inconsistent. I watched them against Hibs a couple of weeks ago, and I thought they were lucky to get away with a 2-1 defeat. I thought Hibs could have won that game by quite a few. They've got a lot of decent players. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what their game plan is. They've had such an inconsistent season. I think Motherwell, I've said it before, I think Motherwell's probably one of the best teams I've seen at Tynecastle outside Celtic and Rangers. They play some great football. They just don't pick enough wins. Looking at the highlights, I thought they were probably unfortunate not to win the game yesterday. But I mean, Aberdeen, I just don't know. I don't know what it is about them. Like last season, they started like Hearts did, and then just went completely downhill. And I don't think they've really picked up since then. I know they won the Scottish Cup, but their league form over the last few months has been absolutely horrendous. I do still think, I don't know why, I do still think they'll finish top 6, but I don't think they'll finish in the top 4 from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to get Paul's points of view in there. So, Paul, please make sure you drop us a few lines in there and tell us what you thought about yesterday's match. I mean, if you look back at Aberdeen, obviously, I'm looking at the manager, Graham, and I think if he gets beat off Hearts, I think there's got to be questions asked about him because there's so many times this year where you I think you would fully expect them to win. But saying that, they went away to obviously Park where they got their 3 points for the first time in about 6 years. So I think if you're thinking about it, I think Aberdeen are doing okay at the moment, but you would expect them to beat teams like Falkirk as well because they got beat by Falkirk, they got beat by Motherwell as well. So I think it'll be interesting because I don't think Jeremy Tellini's got too long.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that recently about is Jeremy Tillini under pressure. I think he probably does have credit in the bank for winning the cup last season, but it only gets you so far. You've got to start picking up points in the league. I mean, they did get that really creditable draw in Larnaca. I thought they were pretty decent. I mean, that's a Larnaca team that beat Crystal Palace. So they're obviously a decent team. To get their first point in the Conference League is decent. But they're very inconsistent. You don't know what team's going to turn up for Aberdeen. They do have a lot of decent players in their team. But they can't seem to put a run of wins together. You know, they need to start winning games. Hopefully not against Hearts. They can start winning after that. But I think Tillin probably does get a bit more time. You know, you said if they lose to Hearts, they might be under a bit more pressure, but I'm not sure. I think the board will give them a bit more time, but they've got to start picking up more wins because it's not been good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of Motherwell, what are you thinking about them? I did see today, Graham, that their manager has been linked with a move back to his former team in Norwich as well.
I mean, I think Motherwell play some fantastic football. You know, to come in and to take that Motherwell team and play the way that he does, passing it from the back, you are going to get caught. You know, if you play a high line, you are going to get caught. But I love the way they play. As I said, they came to Tynecastle, they dominated us for an hour. Should have won that game quite comfortably, but they're not great defensively. As we saw against St Mirren in that League Cup game when they got beat 4-1, that could have been a lot worse. They play some fantastic football. They just don't pick up enough wins. If you don't keep clean sheets, you don't give yourself a chance. So I think maybe he might need to change the style a little bit to get more results. But I think you can't disagree. The football they're playing has been absolutely outstanding. They're getting a lot of credit for it, but credit doesn't get you wins. You've got to start getting wins on the board. I think they've got some fantastic players. I really like that Elijah Just. He looks fantastic. I think the guy Longello's pretty decent. They've got obviously Elliot Watt, who's been pretty decent. Stamatopoulos up front. But they just concede far too many goals.
And it's great to be finally joined by Robbie. Thank you for joining us, Robbie.
No bother, had some technical difficulties there, but got them sorted. How we doing?
Aye, doing well. We're just talking about Motherwell against Aberdeen. Yeah.
Aye. I think Motherwell tried the best Trent Alexander-Arnold to ever career I've ever seen. It's a good point.
Yeah,
I think it's a good point for both teams, and I know you guys there were talking about the sort of Jimmy Tillin pressure and stuff like that. I don't think he's under huge amounts of pressure. I think, as Graham said, I mean, the one factor will definitely buy him sometimes the cup win under Aberdeen, but you know, as I think Graham alluded to, you've got to start picking up wins eventually, and if they don't, then they will start to really fall under pressure.
Okay, then, Robin, I'll ask you this question then. See, in the table this season, whereabouts do you expect Aberdeen board and Aberdeen fans, do you think they want a top 6 finish, or do you think they want top 4, or where do you think they want to be?
I think the expectation, certainly for the fans, will be top 4. I don't think I'm too far stretched in saying that Aberdeen fans always hold their club to a high standard, and rightly so, by the way. There's got some really, really good players in there. The board, I'm not so sure. I think if you're a club, you recognise how hard the league is this year. There's a lot of good teams, a lot of quality. So I think if you're the board, it's maybe a different story. Maybe top 6 you'd be happy with the board, but they definitely can't afford to be any lower than that.
Robbie, obviously, I watched Motherwell against Hearts, and you watched them against your team in the cup. I just think Motherwell, as much as they play great football, they leave themselves open quite a bit, especially to counter-attack. It's great having a style of football, and they've taken a lot of credit for it. But I just think at times watching Motherwell, they are far too open and a little bit too easy to play against at times.
100%, and I'll tell you something now, nice style doesn't get you anywhere in Scottish football. We know this. You need to be able to beat teams, and it's something where we're really struggling to pick up a consistency then right now. And I think you're right, Graham. That you can play all the nice style of football you want, but I think both games sort of show prime example of, if you're tough to beat, if you take your chances, you can overcome nice football any day of the week. And I just worry for Motherwell that if they don't start taking their chances and they don't start getting wins, where are they going to end up? Because it is so easy to fall into a bad habit, conceding goals.
Robbie, what do you make of the Sky, and obviously Sky Bet and people like that are now talking about the Motherwell manager possibly going back to his old club to manage them?
I'd be surprised if Jens was already sort of on the block to leave. I will need to see how that one obviously goes, but I think he'll be fully focused on Motherwell. Look, it's been a good tenure so far. I don't think it's been bad. I don't think it's been excellent. I think he's just done all right, but they're shitting an awful lot amount of goals for a team that plays nice football. As Graham said there, you can play nice football, but the amount of goals Motherwell seem to be losing in games is really, really bad.
Yeah, I just want to finally talk about this in terms of Motherwell. See, Motherwell, what do you think the expectation is for Motherwell this season? Because I think that, as you both have said there, they play some nice football, but I think at the end of the day, the Motherwell fans were looking for possibly top 6.
I think if they can stop shipping goals, then they've got a chance of top 6. But if they keep losing the goals, they're losing. That was 4 goals to Motherwell. Sorry, to St Mirren. They lost 3 against Hearts. They've lost a goal yesterday. You need to, as much as it's great playing attractive attacking football, you need to keep clean sheets in this league. If you don't, you're going to struggle. I think if Motherwell can shut the door at the other end, then they've got a chance. But if they keep leaking goals, then I don't think they're going to get top 6.
They've only kept 4 clean sheets out of 14 games this season, for what I'm reading there. That's no great. You can play all the good football you want, but you've got to be able to stop the goals as well. And I don't think the Motherwell team, but I think their attack's absolutely fantastic. I think they've got some great players in there, but the defence isn't, exactly outstanding. There's no really a standout player I look at in that defence and think he's the guy that's going to, help them massively. It's a very average defence, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, Robbie, obviously, thinking about Saturday night, and you're thinking, I'm going to go along and watch your club St Mirren. Talk to us about that match, because I was only seeing the highlights, because I didn't manage to see the match, but I think there seemed to be a lot of controversy in terms of VAR.
Aye, there always seems to be controversy with us right now in VAR. I certainly wasn't expecting to watch that, Reagan, after getting into the final, obviously, like the week before. I was really, really confident actually heading along. I predicted we'd beat Hibs, so that was great. That came back to bite me, but look, I don't know, Graham, I don't know if you managed to watch the game. I don't get right now the sort of media and everybody saying how good Hibs won the night. I really didn't think either team were good, and that's me trying to be as unbiased as possible. I thought we certainly won the good. We were absolutely awful for the full 90. I thought Hibs, they had spells where they looked alright, but I didn't think Hibs were world beaters on the night, to be honest with you. I thought they came Paisley, they got stuck in, they did what they had to do, and at the end of the day, they got the win. 3 for me, really preventable goals as well that we lost. I'm really starting to miss Alex Gogic and Mark O'Hara in that team. We need them back as soon as possible. But I honestly, guys, as much as it is a big win for David Gray, it is a big win for Hibs, I didn't think they played all that well.
I think what Hibs were was clinical. They took their chances. But again, I mean, I really don't want to do this, but honestly, the officials is getting worse. I've said this so many times. I mean, that goal that St Mirren scored, obviously, I said at the time about the Hearts game, I said at the time that third goal should not have been disallowed for Freckleton. But again, that goal that St Mirren scored, what did they draw the lines with? Crayon? I mean, all you've got to do is listen to Michael Stewart. He was raging about that. Honestly, what are they drawing these lines with? Because you couldn't really tell if that was on or offside. I just think that the officials, I keep talking about the standard of officials, and I could go on a rant about the English one, but I'm not going to do that. But the standard of officials this season, I actually think has got worse. This is as bad as I've seen it. Every single week, I am seeing horrendous decisions. And again, I will say it, every team is going to get decisions go for them and against them. But it's every week. And every week you're going to have, or every month, whatever it is, when Willie Collum does a review show, you're going to have him saying, that was a mistake, that was an error. Why are we still making errors? Why is it still happening every single week? You've got the technology, but as I keep going back to the same point I've made so many times before, it is the officials. It's an official in a VAR room. It's an official on the football pitch. It is every single week. And Willie Collum again, I'm sure, in his next thing will come out and say, that's a poor decision. When does it end? Where's the... Keep talking about accountability. Where is it? Because it is every single week.
I can't wait to get another apology letter after SFA this week for that decision. We've already had one. We got one against Hearts. We've scored 6 goals at St Mirren Park in like the last 5 games, and only 2 of them have counted. So that's a really interesting stat to read. But it is just really, really frustrating at this point. And look, for me, that's obviously a big problem in the game, right? And I think the officials do need to do a lot better, but you know what it is for me, right? It's VAR in general. It kills the love for the game. It does. A perfect example is Paisley at the weekend. I stand up to celebrate twice in that game, and St Mirren don't even score a goal in the end. Like, to me, that just ruins everything football is. Like, I'm meant to be able to go along and enjoy my night, and instead I'm celebrating twice, and then they're getting chopped off. Like, to me, that's everything that's wrong with VAR. The officials are just no good enough to use that right now, and all that. And there's a lot of mistakes, but for me, it's just killing football. It really is. It's just taking the love out of it. It's making you know what to celebrate. I mean, when that second goal went in, I was very cautious that it was going to be offside. To be honest with you, I didn't even really celebrate too much because you just know in the back of your head. And then, of course, when Hibs score, they'll check the VAR for 5 minutes and then point to the spot and give them the goal because that's just the way football works. But seriously, it does just really kill the love, and I think there's a lot of fan reaction online, certainly for what I've seen with us. Some fans don't even want to pay money to go and watch this because they don't want to sit with us at games, and to be honest, I can't even blame them.
Do you know what I really hate? And it's a bugbear of mine, and it has been for a while. See this whole delaying the flag. Now, I get it if it's really tight, but see when it's really, really obvious that it's offside, get the flag up. It really frustrates me. It happened a couple of times at Tynecastle yesterday where it was pretty clear from where I was it was offside. And the linesman raised his flag about 10 minutes later. Then it goes to VAR. It's like, you don't need VAR to check that. It was clearly offside. It does my head in when they do that.
It's just, it really just ruins football. It's as simple as that. And if we are going to keep VAR, then we need to get better at officiating and using it. And I don't know how that happens, to be honest with you. I think that's the one thing I will say. But, I think we're very easy to come out and blame refs and go, oh, we should punish them by deducting their wages or not paying them at all. And I get that. Look, punishment does need to be made. It happens in every workplace if you're not doing a good job. But how do we actually improve it? That's a question I'd ask people. How do we actively get better at using this? That I think there's always, and I think now especially with the reaction that you're seeing for referees and officials online and what fans think of them. I mean, what fan out there, what person grows up going to want to be a referee and go and manage VAR? I mean, who's going to want to take that? Because I certainly wouldn't. If I was training to be a referee, I'd look at that and look at some of the mistakes and go, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want Marion being flung out there if I make one wrong move, you know what I mean? So it's going to be a tough challenge.
I mean, Robbie, that's one of the big benefits of me getting access to the party official matches in the Scottish lower tier, Robbie, is because I think I was watching that party official match that party official scored, but I mean, they scored a lot of goals last week, and as soon as that goal goes in, you can celebrate, you can write down notes, you can do whatever, and you don't need to think, oh, here we go. You know, it's totally it's a totally different mindset, to be honest with you, because I think see, because I go to Celtic Park as well, and you kind of sit through and you go, is that going to be a goal? You know, I'm able to write down this note because Celtic going to score here. But then you actually see when you go to party festival, it's totally different.
That must be a breath of fresh air for these lovely clubs like St Johnstone, like Alistair, a good friend of the show. He must absolutely love going to games without VAR because it must just be so refreshing. You know, it really is that thing. For me, the one that hits the nail on the head is just not being able to celebrate properly. Like, just not being able to go to the football and properly cheer a goal because it could get chopped off in a matter of minutes. And even when it does get chopped off, our officials are pointing to the wrong places. I don't know if they caught that with the first goal we scored. The referee pointed to the centre circle as if to go, it's a goal, and then went, nah, changed my mind and put his horn up in there, which just leaves us really confused as well.
See, if you as well look at yesterday, Celtic Kilmarnock, Don Robertson booked Daizen Maeda when the Kilmarnock player dived. And it was pretty clear that he dived, and he booked Maeda. It's like, what are you doing? Like, these officials are absolutely useless. Like, obviously, I was at the game yesterday, and this did not cost us, by the way, at all. I'm not saying it did. But John Beaton yesterday was absolutely horrific. He did not let that game flow. He was given fouls for stuff that weren't fouls. He was given fouls, for example, I'm just going to say this, he would give a foul for United that he then wouldn't give for Hearts for exactly the same thing. He was just so inconsistent. And I don't like talking about referees, but when it gets brought up, I have to say it, because I thought John Beaton yesterday was absolutely brutal. And he's one of the worst. I can name numerous ones, but he's one of the worst.
Yeah, I mean, I think that point you made there, remember the Daizen Maeda one where he gets booked for diving. I mean, it's just crazy.
It was mental. I watched it back earlier today and I was still laughing at it. It's like, how does he get booked for that? That's mental.
Aye, it's like I think genuinely we could spend hours and hours talking about referees and officiating, but just talking about the St Mirren Hibs game, for David Gray's point of view, guys, that's a really, really big win. That's a statement. I spoke to a few Hibs fans. They were concerned with the mentality of Hibs, you know, especially taking on us, considering the fact we've not won quite a while. They've now got that done. They're sitting in third. I know when we were on the show last week, we were talking about potential David Gray. Well, some fans wanted them out. They're now sitting third in the league. They look very, very comfortable. It's safe to say, guys, I don't think that's the case anymore.
No, I don't think it is, Robbie. And I think in terms of like in this season, I think they'll be just aiming to finish third. I would even go as far to say that I think the only reason that David Gray is getting potential stick is because of the team at Tynecastle doing so well. It'd probably be the team at Celtic and Rangers, because the opposite team is doing so well. Maybe they're putting a bit more pressure on their team to do well.
Maybe. I mean, Graham, what do you think? I suppose you're the same. I mean, but I suppose I get that point. You know, Hearts are doing so well. Of course, the expectation rises with Hibs, but sitting third in the league at this point isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, of course it's not. I mean, I found it crazy when I heard a lot of Hibs fans last week saying David Gray has to go. And I think Reagan's hit the nail on the head. If Hearts weren't top of the league and doing as well as we are, that wouldn't even be a conversation. It's because of how well Hearts are doing. And I'm loving it. I'm not going to lie. I'm enjoying it. But I think, given the job that David Gray given the job that David Gray did last season, when they were sitting bottom and second bottom, to then get third, get European football, only get knocked out marginally by Midtjylland, he's done a great job. This season, maybe they've not been fantastic, but they're still sitting third. It's been a very good season for Hibs, but it is because of how Hearts are doing. That's the only reason that folk are saying David Gray out. If it wasn't for that, they wouldn't be complaining.
And I think that's a good point you make, Graham, in terms of, look how close they got against Midtjylland. Don't forget that great goal that Bowie scored against Midtjylland. What a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then Midtjylland are top of the Europa.
Bowie, who, by the way, I thought on Saturday night, I didn't think he done too much, to be honest with you. I didn't think he was up to much. He's maybe taking a wee dip in form, but I'm sure he'll be back. He's a really talented player. You can see it in the guy. Next up for both teams, Hibs will play Dundee at home. We don't need to talk about who St Mirren will job. We play Celtic, which will be a really, really fun time after we're conceding 3 to Hibs and no scoring. For Hibs, first of all, that's got to be a game that you're looking at for Hibs and probably expecting them to win. Stephen Presley is really, really a weird team to watch this season. That they've had a couple of results, but
we can get that, Robbie, but I just think Stephen Presley, I think he's close to the chopping block, to be honest with you, because to drop Simon Murray in a game against Rangers is crazy for me. He's your best goal scorer. To drop him for that game, why are you dropping your best player for a game against Rangers? That's just crazy.
Nah, I clearly think he's some kind of Stephen Marino or something in the dugout, you know what I mean? Trying to make a master class against Rangers. But Regan, I suppose you'll be feeling or probably really confident coming to Paisley. I suppose it will still be a really tough game, and it's something that we need to bounce back from. I'm sure we'll be fine, but Celtic are, you're scoring goals. Johnny Kenny looks like he's really turned it on right now.
I don't know what Marlon O'Neill's done, Robbie, apart from probably say a few home truths and try and bring in some self-belief into the players, Robbie, but I don't actually know what he's done because maybe Brendan Rodgers was just, maybe it was just too much for the players to deal with in terms of the board not spending money and then Brendan being unhappy. Maybe Brendan's mood was kind of being sad on the players, and maybe that's what it is, Robbie. But I think St Mirren will be a very hard game, Robbie. I think it will be extremely hard because both clubs are obviously Celtic and St Mirren are going to be on the 2 weeks of not playing, so I think both squads will be going away in an international duty and then they'll be headed back. So I think after the international break, the most important thing for both clubs is just to get 3 points. But I think Celtic are playing well. One of the guys that I want to talk about the name is Johnny Kenny. I see no future. I see no future for him. There was talk about in the summer that he was possibly going to go to Motherwell, but I think Johnny Kenny's actually done really well.
Aye, there was talks he was coming to St Mirren as well, which breaks my heart now looking at how well he's getting on. But I think he's a fantastic player. I said it before the season started, Reagan. I think a lot of people are very quick to write players off, especially when Kenny's been about at Celtic. It's always hard to break in. But let's be honest, guys, the fortunes went in his favour this time, and he's managed to get his way into the starting 11 when. Ideally, if everything goes right at Celtic and the transfer window goes right, he's probably not even getting near it. So I think it's brought a bit of a blessing for him that he's got that chance. He's now took it, and the guy looks really, really good. He's got a call up to the Ireland squad as well, which will be an amazing achievement for him, and he'll be hoping he can kick on and keep scoring.
Yeah, Robbie, and obviously I was at the match yesterday. Like Graham was saying, I thought Dom Robinson was terrible for both teams yesterday. He just slowed the game down. He was. And the big thing for me is, I think Celtic were breaking through, and then he decides to blow the whistle. Same with Kilmarnock, they're breaking through and goal, and then he blows the whistle. Well, it's just crazy for me, Robbie.
Reagan, I just wanted to ask you. I heard a couple of comments a couple of days ago from a few journalists saying that Balikwisha looks horrendous. What's been your thoughts on him so far? Because he's not really done a lot so far.
No, he didn't play. He didn't play at all yesterday. Martin O'Neill decided to bring on Yang instead of Balikwisha. That tells you all you need to know. But I'm just hoping that Yang has seen his misses, because the last time she was there for St Mirren, she might be there for St Mirren this time. But I think Balikwisha is a bit difficult because he played a great ball for Maeda for Celtic to beat Motherwell. But I think in the matches I've seen, he's sort of flattered. I don't think he's done very well, and I think it just shows you as well that the fact that Celtic have got the wide options. They've not really got that too many options. I'd probably say the best winger right now is Maeda and James Forrest, but I think Balikwisha's sort of. I'm not too sure on him yet, Graham.
It's funny you mentioned talking about players playing good balls. I mean, Arne Engels' ball was absolutely sensational.
Yeah, it was a great ball, Robbie. I was clapping away at Celtic Park. It was a great ball he played. And I'm actually very happy for Maeda, because I don't know about you guys, but I just felt possibly under Brendan Rodgers, it was kind of do well in a wee bit, but he started to started to do very well.
I thought he looked back to his best against Rangers in that cup game. I thought he looked a lot sharper. I mean, I said this on Thursday last week. A massive blow losing Callum Osmond, who I think the couple of times I've seen him has looked very bright. He's only young. Getting that injury is brutal for him.
Yeah, I feel like it is brutal, but see, one of the talking points I wanted to talk to you guys about yesterday. I mean, I just felt like Celtic moved the ball a lot quicker. I don't know if you guys noticed that against Rangers, but they just moved the ball a lot quicker under Martin as well.
I was going to say, right, the perfect example for me, and I know Callum McGregor's done it for a few times, particularly last season for distance, but in that cup semi-final, in that moment, if that's under Brendan Rodgers, I don't think Callum McGregor's hitting that for them. I think he's taking the pass. And I think what Martin O'Neill's done is he's came in and just said, boys, just go out and be creative, go and show what you've got, go and show your ability, and it really makes a difference. I mean, you're seeing the best of some of the Celtic players now. I think you guys are right. I think Daizer Maeda really has looked a lot sharper. I think he probably needed that goal against Kilmarnock as well. And it is a mental what a difference can make when you're asked to go out and show what you've got instead of playing set instructions. I think that was Regan probably Brendan's biggest issue. I think he was too maybe stuck in his ways of what he wanted to do in his system, and it really let a few of the players down.
And to put Dave Murray into that cold in the time capsule, that was the final straw for Brendan Rodgers, and he said something like, "Oh, I mean, to put Dave Murray, it was so that because Skills was a right footer and Dave Murray was a left footer. I mean, Trusty's been great if he come back in, and to have Trusty nowhere near the squad, and then for Trusty to come back in as soon as Martin O'Neill is back in manager, it's just crazy."
Here's a question. Is Stuart Kettle under pressure?
Yes, because he's not. I don't think he's a fan's favourite, and I don't think he really helps himself as well.
That's nothing to, and I think as well, him not being a fan's favourite, obviously he can't do anything about that. He can only try what he's got, and I just think overall, I look at Kilmarnock right now, and especially in the attacking areas of the pitch, and them day up there really seems to be cutting it. Marcus Dackers, for what I'm hearing for Kelly fans, is just really not cutting it right now at this level. Anderson's not even really doing it that much, to be honest with you.
See, Dackers, is that the big guy that's number 9? Is he number 9 for Kilmarnock now?
I think so, aye.
Because he came on about 10 minutes to go yesterday, and he was some size of guy. Oh.
Yeah, aye, he's a really, really big guy.
They're missing the laddie Daniels. He looks a real threat.
Aye. Daniels is obviously a very confident player as well. I remember his pre-match interview that Sky done with him before the Celtic game, and he was speaking really, really confidently that he, was showing no fear. So I think they'll obviously be missing that. But I'd say Kettlewell probably is under pressure now.
In relegation trouble this season?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's between them and probably David Martindale's team because obviously it was a big point they got in the last minute for a great header from Danny Wilson, but I just feel like I think those two clubs will be fighting it out for me.
I think you're pulling it to fling Dundee into the mix as well.
It does as well.
We're going to talk about them, but
But
it's like,
sorry, Robbie, I just think personally that Dundee will get better. I think see once they get a new manager in, I think they'll be fine. But I just hope Stephen Presley's not watching because I'm saying once they get a new manager, they'll be fine. But I hope he's not watching.
no, Stephen.
Sorry, Stephen.
Stephen's on the tactics ball looking at Craig Levine's Scotland highlights, trying to work out how he's going to beat Hibs in 2 weeks.
This is the show for him, according to Stephen Presley.
It's obviously in the title. I don't know if you guys have touched on it yet, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts on who might potentially be the next Celtic manager, who might be there, long term. Obviously, for what I'm led to believe, Martin O'Neill was in Paisley on Saturday night watching the St Mirren Hibs game. So obviously he's got a bit of interest there. Is there a chance that he's maybe going to stay on for the long term?
To be honest with you, I hope he stays on until the end of the season, because if you look at these players I think the supporters are really buying into him as well, Robbie. And I think as well, see, especially when you've got board problems with Celtic at the moment, and you've got obviously things going on in the background. I think it's perfect. Fair play to Celtic. I think they've played a masterstroke here.
Reagan, I've not been on, obviously, for a few weeks. I just wanted to ask you, I've not a chance to ask you, that statement that Dermot Desmond made about Brendan Rodgers absolutely hammered him. What was your thoughts on that? Do you think a lot of what Dermot Desmond said was right? Because it better be, because if it's not, he could get sued.
I think it was crazy. I don't know why he said it. I mean, obviously he spoke to lawyers before he said it, but I just think it's crazy saying that about Brendan Rodgers. But I think I don't think anything surprises you in football, Graham. But I was really, especially because Brendan Rodgers and Dermot Desmond, both of them have got a really kind of a friendship there. Brendan Rodgers says that Dermot Desmond brought him back to Celtic. So I was just really surprised that he would basically throw Brendan Rodgers on the throw him under the bus, basically.
The only way to settle this now is to put Dermot Desmond and Brendan Rodgers in a Hell in a Cell match. Because, I mean, wow, Dermot Desmond really went for him, man. Like, I've never seen a statement quite like that in my life. And I was just, I think I read it a few times there, and I just sort of stared at it like, what am I actually reading here? Like, this doesn't seem like it's a manager that's just left a football club.
See, because there's so many things in TikTok now, and you see them kind of AI. Sometimes you think, is it actually a real statement? Is it fake or whatever?
He started off all right. He was like, "Thank you to Brendan for all your hard work," and then just went absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like Robbie. I've never seen anything like it. The statement just got progressively worse every single time you read it. It's mental.
I know, it's crazy.
I accidentally clicked the realism button on ChatGPT. That's why it went so deep on him. But it's such an interesting conversation. If you had to pick then, Reagan, if Nutson's available to you right now, but you've got the option to keep O'Neill to the end of the season, what option do you want right now?
I'm going Knutson. I think he's a good manager. I think he's proved that at Bodo Glint. He got them to a European final. But I think the big thing that me and Alex were arguing on Friday night, Robbie, I don't know if you tuned in, but I think Alex was quite, but he was backing Farewell and saying that's a kind of model that clubs are going down, bringing all the players and that. And if you look at Knutson as well, he kind of brings in his players as well. So I don't think the Celtic board would really buy into something like that. So I think if it was, see if he wants to be appointed, I think it'd be great. But I don't think it's going to be him.
Is Maloney not doing most of the coaching though? Sean Maloney doing most of the coaching?
Sean Maloney and Mark Fodringham, passing, moving, and tempo, and everything else he says. But I think I've seen a few TikToks of him. Robbie seems to be quite an infectious kind of guy.
Oh, he's got some of the best interviews I think I've ever watched, to be honest with you. The way he speaks is certainly something. But I think that is an interesting point. I said it on the show a few weeks ago that I think if Celtic hadn't lost to Hearts, I still think Rodgers would have been out the door, because I think that was just down to, him and the board boiling air finally.
Have you
And
not
I think
read the thing on the Daily Mail when it says that basically that from Stephen McGill, Stephen, one of the journalists, he basically says that Brendan Rodgers actually scheduled the meeting by himself to speak it through with the board. So basically, what that says to me is that he wanted to sit down with the board and talk.
Aye,
So,
and that, again, I think if Celtic had beaten Hearts that day, I still think Rodgers would have left, and I think what would have happened in that situation is Maloney would have been appointed first team manager instead of Martin O'Neill. I think Martin O'Neill came back only to please the fans in that situation, because if Maloney get announced on his end to the fans at a time where Celtic had just lost to Hearts, there would have been sharks up at Celtic Park again.
yeah, I mean, well, as you see in terms of like the next manager, I mean, over the past 2 hours since we've been talking, Celtic have been linked by a guy from the American football as well, Robbie. I think that's right.
Say that one again, sorry, mate.
I think they've been linked with somebody from America, Celtic.
I forgot his name. I did read that earlier, but I'm not too sure. But that's quite an interesting call. I don't think players do care about stats, to be honest with you. I think that's probably the last thing on their mind. At the end of the day, I think you're seeing a prime example right now at Celtic. Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney and any of the other coaches have told their players, go out and express what you can do, and that's really, really working right now. And I think you can probably look at the other side of Glasgow and say the same. Rangers with Danny Rowe, he's probably went in there and told them, look, go and show me what you can do, go and show me what you've got, instead of playing this Russell Martin, try to play it around the back, try to build up fast, slow, and try and play it for the back, and go and show me what you can do. And both teams are doing it very well right now.
Aye, Robbie, I just want to finally ask you, see like that American guy coming in, right? See, in terms of that, do you actually feel like it's possibly a risk, but is it possibly a risk worth taking because of the success we had in Postecoglou for Australia, or do you think that the risk could really backfire? Because I think it could be a bad thing, especially because if you look at it, I think Celtic fans are really in favour of what Martin and Sean Maloney right now. So I think that if they then bring in a guy from America, then he needs to win matches right away.
Aye, that is the problem. It is such a huge risk right now, no matter who Celtic appoint. It doesn't matter if it's Nutson, if it's Maloney next season, if it's O'Neill. To the end of the season, every managerial appointment right now needs to be right. It doesn't matter who it is. You could go and fling £5 million at Jurgen Klopp, as I seen somebody say on a podcast, and I just sort of laughed to myself.
Charlie McGrew.
Aye, Charlie McGrew. Aye, and if you've done that, even that's a risk, no matter who it is. That every managerial appointment right now needs to be right for Celtic, and I think that's why they are taking the time. And I don't think that I'm going to be honest with you. Obviously, we don't know, but I don't imagine right now, with the way Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney's gone at Celtic, the backroom team are in any rush to find a new manager. I think they're perfectly happy right now, saying, right, Martin, do you want to stay on for a wee bit longer? And, we'll see how things go. And he's doing a really good job.
If you're Martin O'Neill, you must be thinking, what is happening here? 2 weeks ago, he was sat in the Talk Sport studio thinking about, I'm talking about Hearts winning the league. A few hours later, he's appointed as Celtic manager. He's managed Celtic against Rangers in a cup game. He's managing Midtjylland. He's 73. This must be absolutely crazy for him to go back to Celtic and still be managing.
On his Celtic trackies as well, by the way, which I find baffling when you're managing a club like Celtic. Like, that guy's bouncing about in Celtic trackies. Like, that's mental to me.
Brilliant, aye. Really good. Because I've actually never found the fascination with like Rangers managers or Scotland managers need to wear a suit. I don't think you need to wear a suit.
Well, listen, my FM26 managers shorts and t-shirt every single place they go. It doesn't matter where you're. But No, we'll move on to Stephen Marino and Dundee as they were defeated 3-0 by Rangers. Interesting game. I think it's safe to say in the league anyway, guys, Danny Rowe's done a good job at turning that around.
He definitely has, Robbie. I mean, he's done really well. He's got 3 wins out of 3. He's got 3 wins that Russell Martin wasn't able to get. And I think that's a big positive for Rangers fans. And I think the big thing for the Rangers fans as well is I think Danny Rowe's actually quite doing things well, because if you look at it, you see that over celebrating with the fans. I think he's just read the room and went, right, all these fans are booing Russell Martin because he's no like explaining to the fans, he's no talking to the press properly, he's no wearing a suit or whatever.
They scored a winner. Regan, they scored a winner versus Livingston. They ran down the tunnel. He didn't even go to celebrate. That's how toxic it got.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, and I think Danny Rowe's just kind of reading the room and just saying, right, what can I do to try and get these supporters onto to be on my side of the room, because I think Rangers can be quite a toxic place, but see if they manage to pick up 3 points. I think that's all people will talk about. I don't think they're really bothered about the fact that, okay, well, it's this kind of great brand of football. I think the pundits on Sky made a good point, as well as that. See, Danny Rowe, he's not actually got a big style of a big style of player, the likes of Russell Martin has. Do you know what I mean? He's quite adaptable. See, as long as he's getting the 3 points, I think that's the most important thing for him.
I think people really, really overcomplicate football. You know, if you ask players to go and express what they've got in the locker, and Graham, a perfect example of that, the game on Sunday, Mikey Moore. You know, you go and ask that boy to go and show what he's got in his locker, and that's a guy that's been under really, really big pressure for Rangers fans. A lot of people saying he's not cut out for this level, but you go and ask that boy to go and show what you can do, and suddenly it looks like a really, really good player.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Rangers fans are saying, why is Finlay Curtis not getting a chance? A homegrown player, but Mikey Moore is. And I think Mikey Moore's got a lot of ability. I've seen it with Tottenham before. He's got a lot of ability. But I think what you've got with Danny Rowe is he's a man manager. Russell Martin was not a man manager. And I think you've got players now playing for Danny Rowe. He's not doing anything for
a man manager. I mean, Russell Martin turned the players away.
Absolutely. You know, Danny Rowe's not doing anything fantastic. He's just saying to players, like you said, mate, go and express yourself, go show what you can do. And they're doing that. It's like the shack has been taken off. It's like players now think, right, I've got a bit of freedom now to go and do what I want. And Danny Rowe's giving them that. It's not particularly fantastic football, but it's just simple. It's back to basics. Go and do what you're good at, and you're getting results. It's like you said, Robbie, football's not complicated. I think sometimes managers overcomplicate things and try and do difficult things. You don't need to. Just keep things simple. And
I just want to ask Robbie a question, right? Because see, over the past few weeks when Danny Rowe was appointed, people kept talking about, Danny Rowe needs a Scottish person in there. He's not got a Scottish person in there, and he's won 3 games in a row. Do you think sometimes they can sort of I think they can overstate things, because see, at the end of the day, I think he's actually winning matches, and I don't think people go, oh, I think he's a Rangers man or a Celtic man or whatever. I think it's just so important that he's got people in there that you can trust.
I think for Danny Rowe, you know, as Graham said, it's not complicated. You need to just watch a few matches in this league to understand how to break teams down. Rangers have got the quality to do that. They've got players. I know we've had this discussion before whether the players are good enough or no, and there's still a lot of question around some of the players. But if you go out and tell a team to express themselves, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it well in this league. And you know, they've found a way to break Dundee down. Again, Stephen Marino with his tactics board, try to play without Simon Murray, try to play some sort of 5-5-0 formation to try and break Rangers down. It just, you don't need to complicate the game. Get a coach in there that knows what it means to be a Rangers manager. That's, for me, what I don't think Russell Martin got. I don't think he knew how to be a Rangers manager. You've just put a guy in there that knows what it's about. He's done it enough at Sheffield Wednesday. He's had a lot of good experience elsewhere. He's come up here and he goes, you know, I've got that group of players. I'm going to try and get the best out of them. I'm going to try and I'm going to try and make sure they get the best out of themselves instead of I'm going to come up here and try and play slow passing football at the back. Like, again, it's not complicated. Just let the players go out and express themselves and you get results.
I mean, I think in terms of like Rangers, I think see, as long as Rangers win at the end of the day, that's the most important thing to the fans. I don't think the fans are caring about a style of play game.
No, absolutely not. All Rangers fans, all any football fan wants is to see his team winning games. That's all we want. It doesn't matter how you do it. Yes, it's nice to play good football, but all you want to do is win games. And I'm going to keep repeating myself on what I said previously. And any Dundee fans watching, you can disagree with me if you want. But I said at the time, Stephen Presley was a horrific appointment. And I'm not going to say an opinion on that. He's a terrible manager. All you've got to do is look at the stats. I know they beat Celtic a few weeks ago. Celtic are pretty poor. But Dundee are awful. They came to Tynecastle last week and they were dreadful. And I said they'd get beat yesterday. I'm not surprised. Stephen Presley is not a good manager. And this is only going to end one way, and it'll be him getting sacked because he's a terrible manager.
Yeah, and it just, I think, no disrespect to Stephen Presley. I hope he is watching. I hope he subscribes to the Scottish Football Zone because it is the best place to be in Scottish football, Robbie. But I mean, I think it is time for Stephen Presley to go, to be honest with you.
I would have thought him out the door a few weeks ago, to be honest with you. I wouldn't even hired them in the first place. It's a baffling appointment to me, especially when you consider who they had in the door before Stephen Presley and Docherty. I mean, that's a wild appointment, and you can say whatever you want about how Docherty's getting on now and the way things are going at County, but to me, Docherty's a much better manager than Presley will ever be, and it's no disrespect to him. And it's again, you sort of have that wee part inside you that goes, I feel bad because he's only getting in there to do a job. He's been asked to try his best, and he is, but ultimately he's not good enough, and he will end up getting Dundee relegated if they keep him in the door. And Graham's right. I think if you're a Dundee fan, I think the board have got to realise I'd sack him now while you've still got the chance.
Yep, I totally agree. But I just want to get on to you guys about Simon Murray as well, because I don't understand why you would sacrifice your best player, and obviously a Dundee supporter as well, who obviously wants to do well for Dundee. You're not playing him.
I mean, look, I don't know. It's baffling to me how you can drop a guy so talented. I think Simon Murray's got a lot of quality in him. I think he's a really, really good player. I think he can be a really big nuisance to any back line in the league, to be honest with you. And to drop him in a game where you probably need someone to go in there and take a chance. And it's the one thing I actually said to you guys, right? I can't remember if you were on the show, but it's when Stuart was on as well. And they no long recently just played us at Simon Park. I said the one thing they're really missing is a player up top. They had nothing going forward. Every single ball they put into the box named who was getting on the end of it. And I said, if you have Simon Murray in that team, at least he's going to get on the end of a few balls and try and cause a few disturbances. But against the Rangers, they just created absolutely nothing again.
Last week, I hadn't noticed at the time. It was only when I watched it back, the highlights against Hearts last week. He was absolutely furious when he came off the park last week, when he got taken off. And I don't know if that's something to do with the fact he didn't start yesterday, because he was raging. And I think Robbie used the word there, nuisance. He is. He's an absolute pest. He causes teams problems. If you're a Rangers defender, seeing Simon Murray's name not on that team sheet, you're thinking, perfect, this will be comfortable for us, because they don't really have that threat going forward. I think Stephen Presley completely got that wrong yesterday. They may not have won the game, but he got that completely wrong. You do not, at any circumstances, you do not bench your best player, the one player that's got an absolute threat, because that just makes it so comfortable. It made it so easy for Rangers yesterday. Honestly, he's just an awful manager. I can't believe this guy keeps getting jobs. He's awful.
I mean, you're talking about there that it's great news for Rangers, but it's terrible news for if you're a Dundee player. Your best player sitting on the bench against Rangers. So going,
to be honest, see if I'm a Dundee fan and I seen that team sheet coming in, I'd have just left the ground before the kickoff. What's the point? What are you expecting to get from that when your best player's not even playing? I'd have just left the ground.
Graham, who would you rather, Stephen Presley or Craig Levein?
Well, at least Craig Levein would have been able to defend or just play 4-6-0. Just done that. I don't know what Stephen. Honestly, I've said this to a few Dundee fans. I don't know what Stephen Presley's game plan is. I don't know what his plan is. They are just a really, really poor side. They don't score goals. They concede goals. They're just a really poor side. They're a nothing side. Start of the season, I said, and I think a few fans said as well, I had Dundee get relegated. And I still go with that because I just think they're such a poor side.
And I can understand why, like, people get a bit upset that, and they speak about jobs for the boys as well, because if you look at Presley's managerial record, I mean, what actually made him get the Dundee job? The only thing that I can think of,
Gordon Strachan got him job.
Yeah, I mean, that's that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sorry, Graham. I mean, for me, that's the only reasonable reason why he is there, because you look at his managerial record, he was at Brentford last year, doing some sort of coaching role there, but he's not managed for a very long time.
I wouldn't let a celebrity five-a-side team. That's how bad he is as a manager.
I tell you what, see if you're Dundee, I see at that time, obviously it's hindsight's a lovely thing, but looking back, I think I'd rather, if I was a Dundee fan, just taking a sort of taking an approach to maybe a lower league manager in Scotland, you know, just taking a chance on somebody down there, and you're probably getting better results at this point, to be honest with you.
I'm not just saying this because I go and see them. I mean, you look at someone like Partick Thistle, who are playing great football at the minute, and you look at their manager who's trying to play a great brand of football, and then you look at even people, Scott Brown as well. Scott Brown's doing okay. I think Scott Brown would do a better job than Stephen Presley.
Do you know what got me last week? Obviously, I was delighted because Hearts won. But Dundee set up with a 5-man defence. They played a 5-4-1, right? Which is fine. They're entitled to do that. When they went 1-0 down, they kept the shape. Fine, no issue with that. 2-0 down, still kept the shape. 3-0 down, still kept the shape. It's like, what were you expecting to get out of that game? Honestly, what are you doing with that? It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he just sounds like a very stubborn kind of guy, because from what you're saying there, Graham, Simon Murray went off the park, very angry, and then Stephen Presley just kind of took that right. Well, he's not playing next week, you know.
That's what it felt like.
The press conferences for Presley really don't help him either. He's so bland in his press conferences. It sounds like he doesn't even know what he's talking about half the time, and I think that's the biggest problem for Dundee fans. That they don't even know what they're getting at their own manager. And, you can't afford to have fallouts with your best players. Simon Murray is, for me, the best player at Dundee. And, you can't afford to have him missing out of games. He's a really big, crucial part of what Dundee will need if they want to try and stay up.
I think that's a great point you made, Rob. See, a manager can buy a bit of time if he's a good talker. Well, I'm not talking about Michael Beale, because Michael Beale could talk a lot of rubbish, right? And so could Russell Martin. But you need a good talker like a Martin O'Neill, a Scott Brown, somebody that actually knows the game. Stephen Robinson. If you tell us it's Stephen Robinson talks about a really good match. So, and you just sit there and go, Stephen Presley spoke yesterday, and I think he just spoke a lot of things that supporters I genuinely don't think the supporters can really buy into what he's saying.
I said earlier, Danny Rowe looks like a man manager. Stephen Presley's not a man manager at all. He's got no man management skills at all. I mean, I kind of, his first press conference he did when he said, if you want a manager to win stuff, that's not me. I get where he's coming from. I get where he's coming from in terms of manager roles, but you don't say it publicly. What are you doing with that?
See, Dundee supporters, I mean, they want to do what Robbie's doing and going to Hampton. They don't want to have a manager that comes in and goes, if you want to appoint a manager that can get you to a final, don't appoint me. Like, what?
There is ways to say things in press and interviews, and I think Robinson always hits the nail on the head, and that's just speaking from experience. I think he's very open and honest that, he says at the start of every season, look, the realistic game is we're most likely not going to win the league. I think that's a better way to put it, instead of just coming out and saying, I don't win you trophies, I'm just there to try and keep you up, that shows no confidence right for the start. And to me, he's just he's not a manager. He's really no. Stephen Presley just.
I think he would. I'm not being bad here, but I don't think he would really motivate you. I mean, see if you said to us three, right, lads, I think 3 years are going to play for Dundee Saturday. I don't think he'd really be a kind of a motivational speaker kind of guy.
To be fair, who wants to go and play in Dundee? Let's be honest. Sorry, Dundee.
Can they motivate me to go to the toilet? Honestly, he's just not great at all. But I think that's another result that, to me, you've just got to sack him now. But I suppose on the flip side of that, what I'd ask is, who do you go for at this point if you're Dundee? Who you sack him, right? Say the Murray's at the door the tomorrow morning. Who do Dundee approach next with this international bit? You know, who are they sort of looking at?
Russell Martin's out of job.
I think he's an actual step for Scott Brown. Possibly, maybe. No, I was going to say someone there, but I don't think I genuinely believe it myself. But I think I would go for Scott Brown if I was in charge of Dundee.
That's not a bad shout, actually.
That's a decent shout. I mean, whether Scott would want to, I'd assume he probably would want to make the step up to the Premiership, but whether he wants to keep building a yellow, I'm not sure. Like you've always got Levine on sacked in the morning if you want to go at him, you know. So it's pretty similar to Stephen Presley. You'll not get much difference, to be fair. But
that's the only good thing done is doing that show.
But it was a good win for Rangers. Danny Rowe looks like he's turned the league form around. What do you guys think's next for Rangers? It's interesting because they're obviously out of the League Cup. You'd call them a long shot on getting close to the league now, although there's still a lot of time left, so maybe they could. But is it going to be now? Do you think the fans are expecting a Scottish Cup at least a good chance at it?
Aye, and I think the fans will want to chip away at that with trying to get closer to Celtic first, because I don't think they'll be getting closer to Hearts, to be honest with you, because I think that in terms of Rangers, it's just about closing that gap first to Celtic. Or I think if you say to Danny Rowe though that you've got a 5-point deficit from Celtic after all the trouble that Rangers have been through, I think he would have took that, because I think that at the end of the day, I think there's still a very long season to go.
That is a long time to go. Graham, obviously, another factor there. They're probably, the likelihood is they might not get out of the Europa League league phase now. I'm not too sure where they're sitting points wise exactly, but they've lost quite a few games. I think Danny Rowe just be focused right now, as Reagan said, on getting the league form fully switched around, which it already looks like it pretty much is.
Yeah, I think he has to. They're out of the Europa League. They've not got a point. They're bottom of the league. 36 teams on that, and they're bottom of it. They're not going to get out of that. It's not his fault, obviously. I think you just need to focus on the league. There's a lot of games left to play. Of course there is. I heard a Rangers fan on a phone a couple of days ago saying that he still thinks Rangers will win the league and Hearts are insignificant. Oh, really? Insignificant, are we? Where are we sitting? Where are you sitting? Now, I think they've still got a chance of finishing at least third. But I think they have to get Leaf on back on track. Forget about Europe, because that's definitely gone. They ain't getting out of that. But I think Danny Rowe's just got to... He needs a January window and a summer window. You can't turn this around in one window, because that squad is not good enough. You know, he's been given a guy like Chermiti who just looks absolutely awful. I don't know why that guy was signed for. He needs to turn that squad around, and he needs at least a couple of transfer windows to do it. But I think so far he's done a decent job. But he's just going to have to. He's going to have to get to January and try and bring in a few players. I mean, I think one of the biggest things for me is, I know he's not had a lot of games. I think Bojan Majowski has been miles off the play he was at Aberdeen. He's been nowhere near it at all. Yeah,
a lot of the Rangers fans aren't really liking any of the striker options now, to be honest with you. And Chermiti is such a weird one, Reagan, because it already has reports looking like he's going to get a few loan offers in January. For what I've led to believe, Majowski's apparently getting looked at to get loaned out as well in January, which is interesting to me, right? Because we spoke on the show that what budget would the new manager have to come in and work with? If they lose Miovski and Chermiti on loan, which is 2 big chunks of money out of the sort of budget that they spent in the summer, where's the budget coming for to replace Data?
I think that just shows you that in terms of Philwell as well, I think he needs to take a bit of the blame because I think I don't know why he brought Chermiti in. Obviously, Alex was telling us that Philwell has got a wee bit of a tie with Chermiti's agent, so maybe that's the sort the sort of reason for it. But I think in terms of what Rangers are trying to do, I don't think Chermiti or Miovski are the kind of players that Rangers would need for them to win the title, because don't forget that I think Celtic and Hearts will strengthen in January, and Celtic have got Johnny Kenny and Ian Acho as well. But I still expect Celtic to bring in a first striker as well.
Aye, obviously Callum Osman's at Celtic as well. Obviously, I think they both will need to strengthen in January, and I think it is quite interesting, Graham, because you're looking at Hearts and you're probably quite excited at January as well. It is already a very deep squad, I get that, but you're probably looking at January going, right, if we're still tapped by January, which at this point it is a real possibility that Hearts will be, you're going to look at that and go, right, we can maybe just start upgrading on a few positions, start building depth a wee bit more for the last sort of 6 months of the season, the sort of running, if you will.
Yeah, I said that to Reagan earlier. I think we will get Chesnikov in. He'll be coming in January. I still think we need at least one more right back, because I'm not convinced by Borchgrevink, because he just never seems to be fit. But I do think we've got a very good squad. I said to Reagan, it didn't really work yesterday. We played an attacking team and it just didn't work. We played 4 attackers, it didn't work. But I do think if we're still top in January, or even 1 or 2 points behind Celtic, I do think we will probably strengthen again. And it's exciting. We've got a very good squad. We've got a lot of players doing very well so far. I said this to my son at the game yesterday, and I've said it to him a couple of times, to be honest. I do not think that Claudio Braga and Keith Readers will be here beyond the summer. They're far too good for Hearts. Like, far too good. I'll be gutted to lose Braga, because he's got the best football chant that I'll ever be in my life, and I cannot stop singing it. No, I'm not going to do it here. But I think we will.
The Scottish football is what you hear.
Nah, I'm not there. I've done it enough. But honestly, every time I hear Radio Gaga, I can't stop singing that song that's in my head. But I don't think they'll be here come the summer. But this is what Jamestown's about. It's about signing players for very low money that you've never heard of, selling for a profit, and then going again. We've got to remember, this is Tony Bloom's first season at Hearts, and we're sitting top. I think we're going to get better, personally. So I am excited for January. I think we'll strengthen again. We've still not really seen much of a Gio yet, a record signing. He came on yesterday, didn't do a lot. But it is exciting. It is very, very exciting. And I think I want to ask you guys as well, actually, about this, because I've had a few folk asking me this. I know that whenever Celtic Rangers don't do well, it is always about them. Now, Hearts have done well so far this season. But has the standard, because Hearts are top of the league, and I'm not just saying this if it was Hearts, if it was Hibs, Aberdeen, whoever, has the standard got worse this season because Hearts are top? I don't think it has.
No, I think the standard of Rangers and Celtics has got worse because of the player recruitment. But I think the rest of the league's been really good. I think in terms of the 2 Edinburgh clubs are doing really well. I think Motherwell are doing well. I think St Mirren have got a really good team. So I think the rest of the league is doing really well. Because if you look at it, I think when teams go to Tynecastle, they go to St Mirren. I think all these places are very hard to go to.
Aye, I'd agree. I think a lot of Rangers and Celtic fans don't think there's any issue right enough, but a lot of them out there do say that the standard has decreased in Scottish football, and I completely disagree with that. You're not even looking at the top end of the pitch. I think at the table, I think the whole league's get stronger. I think you're now looking at a genuine case where there's a few teams that could get relegated. It's really anybody's game for the top 6 at this point, and we're still yet to really see who the top 4's, the really big standouts are. And then you've obviously got the league. So to me, guys, this is probably the strongest league we've had in probably quite a few years.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would agree. Completely agree.
But
And I think, sorry,
sorry,
Robbie, I'm just going to say, I think it's a great benefit to the league as well that Tony Bloom and obviously the Bournemouth guys come in at Hibs as well. I think it's a great thing for the league that these teams are doing well.
aye, it'll make a more competitive league. I know we've just signed a partnership with a company as well that's
Nice.
it's not really like Jamestown, but as it's like a really, I think it's a lowered version. I'd need to do some proper research into what it actually is. That I think is going to
Poundland.
Poundland Jamestown. But I think they will help us with our development and scouting and stuff, which obviously helps clubs like us as well. It is such a tight league. I love it. It genuinely is so close. I mean, you know, you're looking at just a few points swing in between positions. Really changes the way the table looks, and that's so exciting. Obviously, guys, unless there's anything else you just want to touch on, there is a big international break coming up now. Obviously, Scotland are in action away to Greece and at home to Denmark. First of all, on the sort of Greece game, I know we'll sort of be on the show properly previewing this on the Saturday before the game, but how is the excitement levels feeling? Because we always say for Scotland guys that, you know, recently it's maybe felt a bit flat, you know, but maybe not had as much confidence. As we say goodbye to Graham, by the way, thank you so much for coming on, Graham. But Reagan, we always sort of, you know, say the last few international breaks, it's maybe felt a bit flat, it's maybe felt a bit deflated, you know, we've not really been up for it. Now, for me, the time's come where I'm really excited for these two games, and I'm also really nervous for them as well because they're absolutely massive for the future of Scotland.
I mean, if you just look at it, I mean, I said to Graham earlier, I think these games are absolutely massive. I think the most important thing for us in Saturday is we get a point out of the game, and then we can go into that Denmark game and we can win it because I think these are massive for the future of the. I think it's massive for the future of Scottish football as well because if you look at it, if we get to the actual trophy over America, it brings in a lot more money, it brings a lot more exposure. People want to be involved in Scottish football, and I think that then helps us as well because I mean, of the local club, I think there's some great Scottish players that are in Scotland just now, but I don't think there's a lot of players that are young at the moment that are really showing us what they can do. I think there's possibly one or two, and maybe St Mirren and Rugby Park as well. But apart from that, you're really looking and thinking, hopefully there's more players that are able to step up.
Aye, well, on this week's edition of Steve Clark Hate Watch on Mandron, there was obviously a couple of changes to the Scotland national team. I'm just currently trying to find what they are because I completely went out my head, to be honest with you. Reagan, it is so interesting.
So the changes, Robbie. Sorry, he's took out Robbie McCrory and he's brought in Andy Irvine and he's also took out I think it's Miller as well. He's got injured. So I think the thing I said to Graham earlier in the show about an hour ago, I said that I just feel like the big thing for me is the right back slot in the park because you look at the right back slot just now, Tony Ralston. I think Tony Ralston's okay for a backup sort of option, but I don't know if he's really going to do as well for these next two matches.
Aye, I've got this squad. I remember what point I was going to make. So, aye, as it's Miller and McCrory out and Irvine and Barron come in. But for me, Reagan, just based on what I watched on Saturday, it is really poor that Mulligan's not got into that squad. To me, he is a man that is probably the best Scottish player in the Premiership right now. That man is on fire and he's putting in amazing performances every single week. And he's a player that I'd love to see in the Scotland squad. And I don't know about you, but to me, it's a bit disrespectful that he's not getting. To be honest with you,
I think it is, Robbie, because I think in terms of Barron, I think Barron's done okay, but I think Josh Mulligan he's scoring goals, he's creating goals, and he's doing everything possible. And I think he's a bit disheartening as well.
aye, definitely. And if I can just ask you one more question, I know time's running out. What is your thoughts on the new Scotland home shirt? I'll let you go first.
I think he's a belter, Robbie. I think he's a bit expensive, but I think he's a belter, to be honest with you.
Aye, I'd agree with that. I think it's a belter as well.
Aye, Robbie, so I don't know if you're going to be on Saturday, but have you got a prediction, mate?
Aye, I'll give my prediction just in case I'm not ready on Saturday. I'm mega confident that we'll get to Greece and win, so I'm going to go Scotland 2, Greece 0.
Oh, I'll go Scotland 1, Greece 1.
Oh, all right.
Oh, that'll be close. I'll be biting my nails. I'll have no nails left, and then I'll say Scotland 2, Denmark 0.
Oh, I'll go Scotland 1, Denmark 0.
Oh, that'll be close.
Proper biting nail stuff.
I know will be if it's 1-0, because if Denmark get a wee equaliser, they're going to go through on obviously scoring more than Scotland.
Aye, and I'll tell you this now. The player who scored a goal that will send us to the World Cup will be Grant Hanley. After all the stick, all the months on this show we've spent gone after that man saying he shouldn't be in the team anyway, he will score the goal that takes us to America. I can guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could be spot on, because, like, obviously Grant Hanley's a great servant in Scotland. He does really well, but I just don't think he's of the quality. But if he gets us to the World Cup, we'll get a Grant Hanley tattoo. No, don't actually take that as true, because if I do see that live on air, then I might actually need to get it.
But it is funny because Grant Hanley played superb against us on Saturday night. I was really impressed watching him. So maybe he will be the player that gets us to the World Cup. I hope so.
So you might actually be better, Robbie, because obviously he's playing more often. He wasn't playing. That was the whole point.
Aye, that's why I'm so frustrated with Lyndon Dykes getting in there. Mandron, I'm not letting that one go. I will never let that go. And Mandron should have been in for Lyndon Dykes in that squad, because he's simply playing more football. That's why they should be in his own better form. He's playing more football. He's scoring more goals.
No, Robbie, I totally agree with you. And Robbie, thank you for joining us. We've been on now for a 90-minute show. So thank you everybody that's been watching. It's been a 90-minute show. It's been great to be on, and thank you to Graeme as well for joining me. And we'll see you all again on Saturday night when Scotland take on Greece.
Aye, and there goes the full-time whistle.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.